In this section, I'm going to be teaching about the social teaching of the Catholic Church. In particular, right now I'm going to talk about the Church's teaching on authority, governmental authority. The first point here is that rulers are for serving the community. They're not for just giving them power so that they can have whatever they want. A ruler shouldn't have more power than is needed to do their job to serve their community according to their post. And this brings us to the church teaching of a concept called subsidiarity. And I'm going to read the definition from the Catechism here. Excessive intervention by the state can threaten personal freedom and initiative. The teaching of the Church has elaborated the principle of subsidiarity, according to which a community of a higher order should not interfere in the internal life of a community of the lower order, depriving the latter of its functions, but rather should support it in case of need and help to coordinate its activity with the activities of the rest of society, always with a view to the common good. Alright, so right off the bat here we see that it is speaking out against concepts like socialism and communism. People might not realize that a socialist government and a communist government actually has more power than monarchies, because kings don't bother to own everybody's property, and they don't bother to be the sole source of everybody's food. So in socialism and communism, that is a violation of subsidiarity. It violates our human dignity. The reason we need to have a subsidiarity government is most importantly because of our own human dignity that we receive from God. And this dignity says that if we have the ability to do these things on our own, the government should not take that from us, right? So another point along the same lines is when speaking about what's good for society, we should understand that a person is not an instrument of society, but rather a society must serve the person for the common good. Here's a quote from the Catechism. The human person is and ought to be the principle, the subject, and the end of all social institutions. So notice that when we talk about what's good for society, the focus must still be on the dignity of the human person. So, since we're on the subject of the common good, let's define it. So, the Catechism gives a three-point definition to help us understand what we mean by the common good. Point 1. The common good presupposes respect for the person as such. In the name of the common good, public authorities are bound to respect the fundamental and inalienable rights of the human person. Society should permit each of its members to fulfill his vocation. In particular, the common good resides in the conditions for the exercise of the natural freedoms indispensable for the development of the human vocation, such as the right to act according to a sound norm of conscience and to safeguard privacy and rightful freedom, also in matters of religion. So point 1 is the common good presupposes respect for the person. Point 2, the common good requires the social well-being and development of the group itself. Development is the epitome of all social duties. Certainly, it is the proper function of authority to arbitrate in the name of the common good between various particular interests, but it should make accessible to each what is needed to lead a truly human life: food, clothing, health, work, education, and culture, suitable information, the right to establish a family, and so on. So, point 2, the common good requires the social well-being and development of the group itself. Point 3, the common good requires peace, that is, the stability and security of a just order. It presupposes that authority should ensure, by morally acceptable means, the security of society and its members. It is the basis of the right to legitimate personal and collective defense. All right, so point 3, the common good requires peace, security, and stability. All right, so in all this that we're talking about the common good, we need to remember also the universal common good, right? The common good is about what's good for our community, for the nation, but then there's the universal common good, the good of all people in the world as creatures of God. And we have a responsibility to the universal common good as well. I'll finish up with one last. This is a quote from Jesus. He said, "Then repay to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and to God what belongs to God." Right? So we give to God what is to God, but we also have a requirement to obey our authorities, but God comes first. So in the next section, I'm going to talk to you about another social teaching of the church in regard to how goods are to be distributed.